right, this is the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. Jim Savalio, engineer and owner at the helm. And we are joined by our returning guest, Brother Greatness, along with J.D. Alpha, making his debut on the show.
What's going on?
How are you? Now, you have a Monster Energy show, so you have a shirt, so you have to have some energy. You sound tired.
I am completely here. Trust me. I am definitely here, and I'm up and at 'em.
Okay. So, since this is your debut on the show, tell us a little about yourself. You were trained by
I was
Grim
trained
Reaper?
by Grim Reaper and Matt Stryker. I love those guys so much. Their training was, especially Matt Stryker's, it was pretty interesting knowing that guy. That guy is always like whacking cartoony and all over the place, but the best guy when it comes to like wrestling footwork and stuff like that, he is amazing.
Yeah.
Also, Grim Reaper, best person that I know that can like really get in there, scrap with the best, but also intelligently like tell you a story just by body work and everything like that.
Grim Reaper comes out of the doghouse, the late great Bobby Lombardi, and I know Grim Reaper for 25 years, and he's very underrated. That guy's a tremendous wrestler.
Most definitely. I say the same thing all the time.
So I'm going to put this out to both of you. How important is it to have a quality trainer? Because everybody and his mother's a trainer today. That doesn't mean they know how to train.
That's true. You need somebody who not only understands the business, but understands the ins and outs of wrestling and can also be personable, be able to teach, and actually cares about giving back to the business. It's very rare that you're going to get somebody who has all of those qualifications in one and then actively do it. It's a lot goes into that. And if you don't have a good trainer, it's like anything else. Like if you're not trained to do it well, you will not do it well.
And what you just said was interesting. Teach you about the business as well. Everybody's got 37 moves and high spots, but what about the business end? It's the wrestling business. It's show business. It's the entertainment business. What would you advise a new kid coming in, eyes wide open? What would you tell somebody about the wrestling business?
What I would tell like someone is just simple. What they told me, just keep your mouth shut and just learn as you go. Whenever someone tells you something, take it, learn it, watch it over again. What I usually tell people is record yourself. Like, let's say, like, if you're cutting a promo, record yourself in the mirror and with, like, a camera behind you. Also, when it comes to, like, trying to get your fundamentals down, make sure you ask someone who's more experienced than you, like a person who's been doing this for like 18 years or 15 years. Hey, did I do this right? Did I do this wrong? Just please tell me. I just want to learn more. I want to know more.
And how often do the old school guys, who often appear on indie shows, pass it on, give guidance, or is it, impersonal? I mean, do people really try to help?
There are people who are trying. There that do try to help. There's some people who they'll just look at you like, huh, this kid's not gonna go anywhere. And it's sweet. It's funny because it's like you've been doing this for so long, and then I'm just asking you for one simple question, and you're just gonna blow me off. But hey, you did yours. I'm doing mine's now. So
yeah, it's what it's with wrestling's like everything else. You have it depends on what that person's going through on that day, what their perspective is on the game, how are they taught. So you have someone who blows you off, but they blow you off because they were blown off at the time when they were training, and it's part of their development, and they think it might be part of yours too. So you're never really sure what perspective all these guys are coming from. At least that's from my...
What I've found being friends with legends, I hear the other side of it. They say they try to instill knowledge in a young wrestler, and sometimes they feel they know everything and they don't. So sometimes they just take a step back. It's just a meaningless indie show, and I'm here for a payday, and I'm just going to come do the gig and get out and try not to get hurt. Yeah. Some of these guys are in their 60s and 70s. They're still wrestling.
Yeah.
So, if you approach a young kid and he's not willing to listen, it's that's the other side of it, which, isn't always the case. I mean, you guys are gentlemen, and I'm sure you would, soak in any knowledge from a legend who's done it all.
Yeah, and it really it's kind of a shame because a lot of the young kids who they seem to have a lot of talent and stuff often just don't have that drive. So when those individuals have an opportunity to take in some great information, they'll blow off things because they either feel they know everything or they just don't take it seriously enough. And it creates a bad name on all the young kids, and then all the young kids start looking at the older guys. It's like, oh, they don't want to help anybody out, and it just creates this
like
weird
anything else in life,
force.
the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Because it's
there's
bullshit.
legends that want to help, and there's those that don't care. There's kids that want to learn, and there's those that think they know it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I think,
absolutely,
and
yeah.
I think there's more legends who want to help than don't. I think there's more young guys who want to learn and are really receptive than aren't. But the negative just seems like more, no matter how you spin it, no matter what field or area you're in. And it's kind of sad that on both sides people kind of forget that, because you're not really thinking about it. What are you really gaining from overthinking it when you really are, when these guys are just trying to go on a show to do a show, this guy's trying to get a paycheck, and everyone thinks that they're just trying to be the nice guy, and it becomes very messy.
Yeah.
It's like if the young kids could be humble and all of them be humble no matter what they think about the business, then the older guys who've been in the game forever are going to be able to distribute it to whomever it is, and they're going to want to do it more, which is going to be better for the young guys, which is going to make it better for the business, which means more money for everybody, more opportunities for everybody. But that's how the world is. So.
Inevitably, what I hear from the legends, and some of them are personal friends. I was the associate producer on 350 Days, which will be out in the spring, starring Bret Hart and Greg Valentine and Tito Santana and superstar Billy Graham. And when I talk to people like this, they tell me what they try to instill in the young guys is slow it down. Make the moves mean something. You don't need 37 high spots. Sell. Don't stop like a deer in the headlights if you miss a spot.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
and tell a story. Tell a story. You know, today it's like as a fan, I'll watch a match and I'm like, who's the face? Who's the heel? Who am I rooting for? You know, the late Johnny Valiant used to say to me, when you walk down the aisle, that 30 seconds, that 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever it is, fans should immediately know, you're the good Indian, you're the bad Indian, you're the good cowboy, you're the bad cowboy. What is this character? You know, are we rooting for you? Are we rooting against you? And today it's kind of like a blur. And if it's just two guys you don't know doing high spots, it's kind of hard to get emotionally involved. Yeah. So, you know, I remember something that happened in 1985, and, you know, an indie match I saw last week is just kind of like a meaningless blur sometimes.
Yeah.
Unless it's great. A guy like Grim Reaper, he's an artist. You know, it's a big difference.
Most definitely, yeah. I believe, like, I know, like, certain people also who are, like, trying to do this, like, guys that are coming up, they will always come to me, they were like, hey, did you like that? I was like, listen, you had to slow it down. Oh, but, you know, people are not going to get what I was doing. Like, listen, people are not going to get what you're doing because you're too fast.
Yeah. Right.
You know, people say, well, going slow, it makes everything boring. But that's where most of the magic is at. Yeah. Is that when you slow down. If you put someone, like, down on the mat and like have him in like a rest hold or something. That's the magic. That's the beauty of it. That's where everyone's gonna root for you. That's where everyone's gonna come and just. It's just amazing. So amazing. I can't even just like speak right now.
Psychology is almost a lost art on the indies, and I don't mean to make blanket statements because I love the indies and I support it, and there were some great wrestlers on the indies. But in the old days, you know, the guy would have a foreign object, you know, and the fans would go out of their minds. The little things had like a big effect, whereas today the guy's doing a Hurricane Rana, and you know, it's like it's the 7th time you've seen it tonight. Yeah, you know, so less is more is basically what I'm saying.
Definitely, totally agree with that, and I think it really just goes down to people jumping into the business and just saying, I love how so and so wrestles in terms of like all the high spots. Just like, I love doing this, I love doing that, and then they go out and that's all they're doing. And that sometimes that even goes down to training, because a good trainer isn't even going to let a guy like that who has that mentality, at least in training, go out and go about their business. But
plus, you have a higher risk of getting injured.
Yeah,
you know, no matter how great the guy is, or Rey Mysterio, whatever the case may be, eventually they blow out their knee or get hurt because you're flying around endlessly.
You won't have a long career like all these legends. They're 70-something years old and still wrestling for a reason. They have the physical ability to do so because they took care of their bodies.
I'll tell you something interesting that you may not realize. Back in the day, a guy like Pat Patterson would come to Madison Square Garden as a main eventer. He was 40 years old at the time. Mm-hmm. You know, now a lot of these guys are done by 40 because they've destroyed their bodies. You know, it's a very different business. Back then, it would take a long time to make a name for yourself. And finally, you make the big time and you're not a kid anymore. Today, it's like, you know, a lot of these guys are 30, 35, 40, and they're, you know, full of injuries, and they're done. You know, a lot of those ECW guys aren't even alive. What they did to themselves, you know, it's a brutal business, brutal. So, JD, tell us about some highlights since this is your first time on the show.
Highlights, let me see.
Career highlights. Yeah.
I mean, well, there's so many. You know, I always like tell myself and I tell everybody that I am the best person on the East Coast currently.
What about Brother Greatness?
What about Brother Greatness?
Yes.
Hey, I mean,
What's going on, brother?
I'm gonna be honest with you. The worst thing you could have done was actually have an interview between me and him right now. Because this guy, I honestly do not like this guy.
Really?
No, not at all.
Wow. He seems like a nice guy.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, JD's never been a big brother greatness guy.
No, not at all. No,
Yeah,
the whole hallelujah and faith. That is just okay. Take that somewhere else, brother. Just take that somewhere else.
Wow.
I feel like a lot of this animosity is just due to from training. We both trained at FTW around the same time, and I don't know. I think maybe he just isn't feeling the positive energy all the time. You know.
Nope.
Why did they move from Queens to the Bronx?
Well, actually, they were still in Queens. I switched over to the Bronx. I was looking for some opportunity with Bronco International. So I made the move over there.
Okay.
Spent a lot of time with FTW. Great organization. Good guys. Reefer's probably like the best trainer I've ever had. But you know, really wanted to go over there and see what was going down with Bronco International.
Well, FTW's Earl Kuda's group, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. There's so many letters, I get confused.
Oh yeah, they're all over.
They're all over the
Yeah.
place. Trust me.
You just gotta say the full thing. But actually, myself and JD were two of 20 individuals in a cruiserweight tournament in the Bronx on December 8th.
Wow.
Yeah, that's gonna be 1123 Close Avenue. So I think a lot of the added animosity might be based on the possibility that he might be taking a loss.
Wow.
Whoa,
from Brother
I don't know
Greatness
about taking a loss from Brother Greatness.
on his path from good to great.
One thing about Bronco, when this guy walks down the street, you go, he's a wrestler. He looks
Yeah,
the part.
definitely.
He looks the
Definitely.
part. He's a big boy.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
boy. And we have a video clip of you guys that, why don't you set it up? Like the Tonight Show, Johnny Carson. Set up the clip. What are we going to see?
Well, it looks like tonight we're gonna see a little something. If you wouldn't mind, please roll the clip, my good brethren.
Hold on one second, I'm sorry.
This is live radio, folks.
Live radio.
Definitely live radio.
There we go.
If you want, I could come back. I could take a smoke break, if anything.
No, it's on.
I want to thank you, Heavenly Father, for shining your light on me. You sent
All right. We are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at Village Connection Radio, and that was Brother Greatness. And how well does being religious and spiritual go with the wrestling world, which is kind of decadent and, a lot of scandals and...
I mean, I think it's a perfect combination. I mean, when you read the Bible and you look through the New Testament, you see Jesus spent time with individuals who similar to the words you utilize to describe professional wrestling. I think it's a beautiful environment for anyone to be, and especially individual of faith, because you meet so many different people from so many different walks of life. And it's a great opportunity to learn more, have your faith challenged, because I don't think I've ever done a show without someone walking up to me and saying, listen, I'm not into the whole faith thing, similar to what JD was saying earlier.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of questions. People, I'm just a brother from the church, but, people start thinking, he's a pastor or something. I'm not a pastor, but I get those kind of questions often at shows. And it's a challenge, especially if you go to a show and you're not in the right mindset. But it challenges you to always be in that right mindset, to always be walking in a faith-driven way and wrestling in a faith-driven and just acting accordingly to the faith. And I think it's strengthened my faith often, and I love wrestling with that being a forefront in my life.
My buddy Bobby Rydell is a pastor, and he runs a church. We're getting some background noise. So he is also a wrestling manager, a heel wrestling manager. So it's interesting that you could balance these two very different worlds. And his buddy Johnny Ova was a wrestler, and they worked with Ted DiBiase, who's also very religious. So it's an interesting mix. Interesting. Yeah. And tell us about any upcoming dates you guys have. Anything you guys want to plug?
Please, JD.
Well, let's see. I got December 8th for the Bronx Wrestling Federation. That is the Cruiserweight tournament that is coming up, which I will become the first Cruiserweight champion. I don't know if Brother Gazians can agree with me on that.
Definitely not.
It would be nice if he did.
Definitely not.
I also have, I believe I do have an FTW show coming up in January. We haven't really confirmed the date yet. RCWA in Texas. That's going to be very interesting.
So you're going to Texas?
Yes, I am.
Wow, awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
I love traveling up and down from Maine all the way down to Texas is my specialty.
I worked WrestleCon in Dallas 2 years ago with Tito Santana, Greg Valentine, Paul Orndorff. And I go into this restaurant, and there's a rifle on the wall, and they go, "We don't call 911 here." So I'm like, this town isn't for me. I'm not a gun guy. But interesting town, Dallas. But so I just want to throw this out briefly. Years ago, wrestling, especially in the New York area, was always a monster, huge man territory.
Yeah.
You'd have Bruno, Pedro, Backlund, later Hogan, and the huge monster heel would come in to face them. I mean, these guys, were 250. Nikolai was 340 pounds, So how do you feel today that how the business has changed where smaller guys, Rey Mysterio made it to the top, how smaller guys have a chance today? What's your take on this?
My take on that is it's amazing because watching it, you would be on TV and you see these guys, they look like they're like 7 feet tall. And then when you go to a live event and you see guys like Rey Mysterio who are sort of close to your size, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Hold on. The TV definitely put a good 10 pounds on you, or in height and stuff like that. It's amazing because as a kid, you would expect, you've always been told, hey, you want to do this, you got to eat your vitamins, and then, you got to hit the gym and stuff like that. And, yes, part of that is true. But then again, it's also where it's the size really doesn't have to be there no more. Yeah. Before, you have to be...
Yeah, Finn Balor's not a huge guy. He's like any guy walking down the street. I'm bigger than him. Yeah.
Most definitely. I even heard that once in the police force. They said that they wouldn't accept guys who are at least 6 foot. And I was like, that's crazy. I think it's like that for everyone. Yeah, that's definitely changed
guys,
now.
Yeah.
Shorter guys. There's even guys shorter than me just on the police force. I'm like, wow, that is pretty intense. But
well, I would think this is a great time to be doing what you're doing, because it's going to be based on talent, charisma, gimmick, as opposed to, he's too small, we're not giving him a shot. Yeah. So,
and sometimes the lack of size almost is a positive thing, because it creates a separation. You have such a major shift. Both of us, we were both part of that tryout. on November 17th. A ton of companies, mostly out of Jersey, SWF.
IWA.
Yeah, IWA. The Iron Wrestling
SWF is our
Alliance, all of them.
sponsor, by the way. That's why this T-shirt's on
Yeah,
here.
shout out to Billy.
There you go.
But yeah, great promotion. I actually had the opportunity to work with them on November 17th, and we'll be doing so again because of the tryout. I'll get to work with Iron Wrestling Alliance on February 22nd in Newark, and again in March 16th for the show Genesis because of the tryout. And it was a really cool opportunity. But even being there, like I feel like, you know, being a smaller guy, I was the smallest human being on that tryout, and it was, I think it's made me stand apart from everybody else because they're like, oh yeah, the small guy in the blue, like we know who that kid is. We're gonna remember him.
Well, what's interesting from a fan's perspective is, you know, in the old days, if you had a Rey Mysterio against, you know, the Giant or whatever, you know, it wouldn't have worked. Now it's credible.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
the big guy's selling for the little guy, and sometimes the little guy wins, and it works. It works, yeah. So, so if you had your way, let's say it's 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, where would you want to be? Would it be WWE? Would it be New Japan? Where would you want to be?
Me, I definitely see myself traveling the world. But if I had to like pick one of those specifically, it would definitely be New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's something that I started watching New Japan in 2010, and then just from there I just said, "Yep." Since I'm starting training now, I'm definitely gonna hit that in the future.
Wow. Yeah, New Japan, when you see guys like Okada and Tanahashi, that's art. That's wrestling elevated to art. Sometimes I watch WWE, I want to put a gun to my head. You know, I'm like numb by the end of a 3-hour Raw. So it varies. I mean, it's interesting with WWE. They have probably one of the greatest talent rosters in history. And it depends how you use it. You know, they're not using it well on Raw. When the NXT takeovers are great. That last pay-per-view, Survivor Series, they had some great matches on there. So they are capable, but many times their TV is stultifying.
Yes.
Stultifying. And what, besides New Japan, where would you like to be down the road?
My primary focus is honestly to, if I get the chance to have a solid quality life paying for contract somewhere inside the United States. I don't really care whom it's with. It could be whether it's an Evolve or an ROH, WWE, what have you. If I have the opportunity to work doing something I love, and get paid for it enough to support a family, I'm good to go.
Okay, since you're a spiritual guy, family-minded, I'm going to throw this out to you. Would you rather have more money and a crazy 250-day-a-year schedule like WWE, or make a little less money with a sane schedule where you're with your family?
Well, when you separate the questions and keep a multiple choice like that, definitely the opportunity where there's less money and more family. But when
Guys
you add
like
in,
Cody Rhodes are making good money.
Yeah, he's making
and they're not
fantastic
tied
money.
into one group.
Absolutely, and it does make sense. But if I have the opportunity to, like, it's less money, whether it's more or less money, it's money within the dream. It's within professional wrestling, which also I think works into my level of kind of the personal ministry that I feel like each Christian is called to do. So it goes beyond just money or a career. It allows me to
Right.
do everything.
I'm
in
going to
one
hit
shot.
you with a hard question.
Sure.
A buddy of mine was a singer and a very spiritual guy. He was studying to be a priest. And the record label's like, we want you to sex it up. We want this to be hot. We want to sell records. And he walked away. He's like, this isn't me. I want to do, spiritual music that means something. Okay, let's say you're in WWE,
Okay.
and they have some ridiculous angle that offends you. You know, do you even when they just wrestled in Saudi Arabia, not everybody wanted
Everybody was
to
about it.
go there. It
Really
offended
go
some.
there.
Well, would you stand your ground and say, I'm not willing to do this, and possibly lose your push, lose your spot? You could be in that position. It's very possible.
Absolutely, and I've had to deal with it to a degree, very small degree, on the independent level.
They
you
did
know,
a
and-
necrophilia angle years ago. I mean,
Sure.
they did. He's looking
Really?
right. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could possibly happen. I mean, I don't think I'm vividly rigid in what I'm willing to do versus what I'm not willing to do, but I know my set of values and set of ethics and what I'm willing to be a part of, and I'm probably not gonna be the one to send the flaming cross at, but you know, I feel like I'm pretty open to a lot of ideas, but if there's something that I'm really not willing to do and there's no way to compromise, I'm gonna have to just not do it. It's not, no company is the only company in town by any stretch anymore. Someone is gonna be willing to allow me to not cross my values. I'm not saying I have to be.
Well, money isn't the be all and end all.
Yeah.
I mean, I produce films. I was the associate producer on The Wrestler, and
Great movie, by the way.
thank you. And somebody asked me to do something about Chris Benoit, and I said, no, I'll pass. You know, sometimes there's certain things you don't want to deal with just for money.
Understandable, yeah.
So we got to wrap this up in a minute or two. So
Yeah, definitely have to.
What's that?
You are going to wrap what
What's
up?
on here?
Okay.
I am highly offended today.
What the?
And here I am, the splendid one, Bobby C. Hello,
Wow.
Mr. Evan Ginsburg. You're
Simply
not wrapping
splendid.
anything up
Simply splendid.
until I
He's
have
bursting
my
in.
I didn't know
moment.
he was invited today.
Was he
I didn't
supposed
either.
to be
This
during the
just got
segment?
better.
I
thought
just
this was-
decided to pop up, and I heard that Brother Cheapskate was here, and DJ with Alpha.
That's JD
Jay, I'm
Alpha.
sorry. I've been seeing you.
I'm not cheap.
I am impressed, young man.
Thank you.
And I think it would be a great match between you and Brother Greatness. If you want me to, I'll be in your corner.
Gotta think about that.
You don't want to be in my corner? Don't want to be in my corner, Bobby?
Brother Cheapskate is always trying to find ways to get around spending money.
Make yourself comfortable, Simply Splendid.
I figured I will sit in the middle because I am the center of attention since I have appeared as of the moment. Mr. Evan Ginsburg, what would you like to ask me today?
You are not a humble man, are you?
You would have to have a lot of faith to wrestle me.
Please, Brad. Respect, brother. Splendid. Continue.
Okay.
Simply Splendid. Tell us what you have coming up. I know you have a lot of big matches.
Well, I will say this. Friday night, East Coast Professional Wrestling. I will be wrestling at 5601 Avenue N. That's near King's Plaza Mall. That's a horrid place. Just to let you know.
Yeah.
Let you know.
I live over there.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Wonder why it's so bad over there.
Oh my goodness.
I am wrestling that Linguini brother. That's Tony Biella's a Linguini brother. And Tony whatever his name is, Ben Benedetto, Ben a Dirtbag.
Wow.
I
Wow.
will crush you. I will rip you apart. And I will send you packing. You're not splendid as I. Then in January, I come to Santo Domingo again,
World traveling, Simply Splendid.
where I will defeat all the Santo Dominions. Do you know what a Santo Dominion is?
One from Santo Domingo?
That could be.
Is that what that is, sir?
Sounds about right.
Okay.
Yes, a Santo Dominion. And if that's you, Bronco International, I will rip your mask off your ugly head. Anybody that wears masks is ugly. That's why they wear
Ooh,
masks.
Agree.
Pro wrestling.
That's
Because
possible.
He has a face his mother doesn't even want to kiss.
Wow.
How do you feel about wigs?
What are you talking about, Brother Greatness?
That's I'm just
Look
asking a
at me.
question.
I'm a natural. I am just so.
That's all natural right
ordinary.
there.
It's all natural.
I can see it from it's all natural.
Look at the muscles.
Look at those guns.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
This is what you call solid and a lot of work. And one thing I will give you credit for, Brother Greatness. And I will say this one thing about Brother Greatness. He can fly all over the ring.
Thank you.
I would wrestle him any place, any time, if he's willing to sign it.
Wow.
And I will show Brother Greatness how great he is not.
Those are strong words. What do you think, Brother Greatness?
I mean, I think I'm willing to do that any day of the week. I think I'm willing to help this man out with his
Don't say it, Brother Greatness.
follicle situation.
Ah.
That's all I'm gonna
My
say.
God, I don't-
Let's take that issue on his head from not so good to great. We can help him out.
But I will say this about that match. People will definitely watch. Would you agree?
I would agree with you on that. I think that's the only thing we're gonna agree on
That's
today.
the only thing
That's
we're
all
going to agree
right.
on.
That's all right.
And Simply Splendid, do we have video of you?
You know what to play there.
All right.
I am the man.
There we go. Simply Splendid. Instant.
Salt and Pepper and LL Cool J. The man.
Let me just say that. This is like 4 minutes.
Chris Kalla.
Good show,
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the world famous Elks Lodge. This is New Evolution Wrestling. This is Inception. I am Mark J. Party. Alongside me is the Green Man. We are a shot of wrestling. Things are about to get underway. Green Man, the crowd is electric and very loud here tonight.
Like you mentioned, this is a shot of wrestling. It's a new opportunity for us, and we are back home, baby, back at the Elks Lodge. The crowd is insane. Jam-packed house here. People are still filing in.
Oh!
Bobby C, the Simply Splendid one, starting off the night
You guys want a
attacking
snack or something?
this
Make yourself
Hollis
at home.
Queen original. Talk about making a statement here, Bobby C.
I'm very okay
We
with
know what's
that.
going on here, Green Man. This is not a match. This is not Bobby C's in the main event here tonight. What's he doing out here right now?
Listen, it's a new organization.
Styling a mud hole in him and walking it dry. Green Man, continue. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Bobby C wants to make a big impact in a bigger way, man. He is built for this main event against Rage, but he's coming out here early to let the New Evolution Wrestling faithful know what this promotion is all about.
Kick to the gut. This guy, I didn't catch this guy's name. Flying knee to the face, goes for the cover. Bobby C kicks out at 2. I mean, Bobby C's in the main event tonight against Rage. Rage is known somebody you sleep on. He shouldn't be explaining his energy here right now.
Well, listen, the crowd has been chanting, we want breadsticks. We want wrestling.
That was Netflix.
Netflix. They were chanting something, but they were getting very rowdy
Bobby C launches the
for
guy to
some
the corner.
action. This is the first time we see Bobby C in action, and he's pretty impressive. Look at him.
Front flapjack suplex. Bobby
For
C goes
those
for
of
the
you who
cover.
are hard of
2.
hearing,
3.
Man.
Bobby C picks up the impromptu victory. What's the crowd's dismay here?
and the beautiful maid of Bobby C, Maria, coming in and kind of just yelling at Bobby C, kicking his opponent. Oh, man.
The maid, Maria, you said her name was.
You don't want to mess with a very oppressive woman who's been cleaning the house of Bobby C, the big mansion.
Bobby C once again with that flapjack suplex. Here comes Rage.
See, we mentioned it earlier that Rage has a match here tonight with Bobby C. Bobby C trying to make an impact early on in this night, kind of showing Rage what he's all about. Trying to showboat in front of the New Evolution Wrestling fanatics here.
Was that a mistake? Now he's spending some energy.
Watch your favorite.
There's Rage. Rage is in the ring. Bobby C's walking out.
Let me tell you, Michael J. Putty, this is what we love about Bobby C, the
Bobby
Simply
C.
Splendid one. He's able to come in and work the first match of the card and then be billed for the main event. Only Simply Splendid people could do things like that.
Referee attending to this young man. I missed his name.
We know
Rage,
he's
the
from
referee.
Hollis, Queens. Home of
He's
Run
unable to walk out on his
DMC.
own. Rage carrying him out over his shoulder. The crowd applauding his effort here.
Michael J. Putty, there's a lot of wrestlers back.
All right, we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. Bobby C in action against my former friend, Rage, who we did the liberal versus conservative thing. It didn't end up well. What do you think of that, Brother Greatness? There's a lot of division in the country at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes back to kind of the same perspective. I think people forget that we're all trying to get the same goals, and they get really focused on the how to get there. And it's created a lot of hate And I'm not gonna blame any particular parties or persons. It's just a matter of individuals forget that we're all trying to get to the exact same goal. Yeah. And on the route to getting there, we get very focused on being upset at the other party, and nothing gets done.
It becomes a dehumanizing thing.
Absolutely.
Libtards versus deplorables. These are your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers, and it's ridiculous.
Sounds like WrestleMania.
That's right. That would be a good main event. Libtard versus deplorable. Oh my God. It's really, I haven't seen the country like this since like the Vietnam War. What do you think, Jim?
I have not seen it like this in my lifetime.
I mean, it's really, it's gotten very
I
ugly.
think it's all social media. I mean, it gives people an opportunity to voice instead of just keep it in the inner circles.
Yeah, well, everybody has a forum, and
Yep.
some people are giving out misinformation.
Yeah.
I saw a guy yesterday post that somebody murdered somebody, and I said, you have no proof of this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't just post that somebody killed somebody.
No, that's the problem. You can't. That's the problem.
Well, you
have
can.
the ability to
nowadays
do
you
it.
can.
People are.
Yes, that's the problem.
People don't think before they speak, much less type. And they're hidden behind a computer.
Then people put things up
they don't
and
care.
take them down like they never happened.
Yeah, but there's
Damage is
1,000
done.
screenshots.
Damage is done.
Well, that's an interesting point. They've done studies where they say that, like Simply Splendid's a big tough guy. It's like, I wouldn't say to his face something I might say to, some guy on a computer 1,000 miles away.
Right. Sure.
The walls are broken down where you're braver. You understand? Certain things you just wouldn't say face
And
to
aren't you
face.
happy, Evan, who got the W at New Evolution Wrestling at Inception? Who do you think?
So you're not political. He wants to go back to the wrestling.
I won. I beat Rage.
That's right.
I mean,
There you go.
Clean.
Rage should have won, but
Clean, I beat him.
I don't know.
Wow.
Clean.
A little dusty.
What does that count? Come up to 3.
Yeah, it seemed like it was about
Shows
3.
on the map.
Wow.
But I do agree, the country is at odds. Instead of fighting each other, instead of going back and forth with this political garbage, which I think is garbage.
Complete garbage.
You know how you settle it?
In the
Everybody
ring.
goes to a wrestling event.
That's right.
Yes.
Most definitely.
That's
Simply
what
Splendid
I'm
would-
sure you agree with me on that. On the greatness.
Would
I'm
you, would
okay
you
with
ever
that.
consider running for office, Simply? I think you'd make a good president.
I would be the best president anyone could ever have.
He's got the hair for it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you definitely
Your
do.
hair's a little like Trump's.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about him or anyone else because I am not a personal fan of politics. The only thing I'm worried about is
What
Team
is-
Splendid.
What is that noise?
It's a phone ringing.
Oh, you gotta turn off phones, guys. Yeah,
Wonder who it could be.
No one could hear that though. No.
that's right. So I'm gonna give you guys a chance. Plug anything you want to plug, and we're gonna see one more video in just a few minutes. But any social media, anything you guys want to plug.
Simply Splendid.
You
would
could
do
go
it.
first, Brother Greatness. You were the first one in here.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Isn't that splendid of him? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
very polite.
very
He has his
polite.
moments. He
Yeah.
has his good moments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we could be friends. Maybe we could be friendly.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
I believe in doing things the right way.
All right, cool. We'll be going to service later together. But
Yeah.
definitely, if you're looking for Brother Greatness, just type in Brother Greatness into YouTube. You'll see everything pop up. Brother Greatness like page
I have
on
a
Facebook.
question.
Sure.
As a spiritual guy,
Yes.
isn't Brother Greatness a little like egotistical?
See, people always ask me that,
Yeah.
and I'll have to break that down.
Yeah.
The brother part is just a brother from the church.
No, that I figured,
Brother
yeah.
so, sister so. The greatness section is based on the Lord's greatness. I forget the exact Bible verse, but true greatness is found in servitude, and you see that throughout
Okay.
Jesus' journey.
So it's not like Deontay Wilder, I'm the best ever, and then
No.
he's losing 9 out of 12 rounds.
No, absolutely
Yeah.
not. I'm definitely
Okay.
not the best ever. I'm not like JD Alpha says that he's the best on the East Coast or what have you. He's simply splendid. I understand that I'm not the best wrestler in the world.
All right, I'm gonna ask all you guys, what constitutes best? To me, a perfect package is a Ricky Steamboat who could wrestle, he could brawl, he could bleed, and he had charisma. I mean, there's very few perfect packages in pro wrestling.
True.
So what constitutes the best? When you say I'm the best, what's the best?
Well, what I would say is the best is something that can actually take it up to any one of those styles. See, I personally, I'm a high flyer. I love to fly around the ring as well. But also, there will be times where I would like to brawl it out. I would like to get into a good grapple. That's why I say I'm the best on the East Coast, is because I can bring it to that level. Would you agree, Brother Greatness?
Agreed on you being the best, or your explanation?
The best.
I agree with neither.
Because
simply because there's a ton of individuals who can do all the styles, who can utilize all the styles effectively within a wrestling contest. The best, first and foremost, is the individual who comes out and you see, based on their overall work, that they're doing everything on a higher level than everyone else in a particular section. So if you're the best on the East Coast, you need to be actively winning all these matches in a nice, clean, respectable fashion.
Like me, the splendid one. I don't have to be all fancy. I'll just rip your eyes out. Make you slap you in the air a couple of times and you may not hear what's coming and what I have next in store for you. I am the best on the East Coast.
Who's the best on this couch? Two guys just said they're the best.
And Brother Greatness, maybe you should change your philosophy. Since you're saying your greatness, you never know what can happen down the line. Maybe you can be as splendid as I. Bobby C.
And give out your social media, Bobby.
I am under Robert Bobby C. Semler on Facebook. The Simply Splendid one has a page, Simply Splendid Bobby C, and on Instagram as Team Splendid. Follow me. I will educate the plebeians.
Wow, plebeians. That's strong words.
All right.
And JD?
You can find me at JD Alpha Live on Instagram. Also, I have my own Facebook as JD Alpha. If you want to catch me on Twitter, that's at the Holy Alpha. It's really hard to
Holy Alpha. Wow. Okay. And set up the clip for us. We're going to wrap it up with this clip.
Well, let me see. How about if you play yourself something that is really good for us?
Yeah, these fans have no respect. Cursing as you will.
Calling him the Bushwick Beast there is Chris Barton. This huge moment for Mr. Barton here as this match is about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen.
And Leland Parker and JD Alpha not affected. Oh, here we go.
And they're setting it off, and to the chagrin of many fans here, as Chris Barton and Dominic Denaro, two real newcomers here. Of course, this Barton's first match and Denaro's second match.
Alpha just put the boots of the beast and mocking the audience right now.
I could tell Mr. Steranko enjoyed that sneak attack there.
It's quite impressive. As was that.
Absolutely. And Leland Parker looking on in the center of the ring, just laughing there.
Parker is there, waiting. He's calling his shot right now. Look at that.
Unbelievable moonsault there.
Impressive.
Chris Barton evaded it there. As Chris Barton
evaded it
outside the ring there.
I think Parker got some of his partner. And these guys must feel like the eclipse right now.
Absolutely, as they got control of Dominic Denaro there. And ladies and gentlemen, that's quite a big man to pull off a maneuver like that.
The entire Queen's Elks Lodge just shook from that flip.
Absolutely.
Off of the canvas.
The Bushwick Beast there, Chris Barton.
Off the top rope.
Unbelievable. High-flying, dangerous wrestling we're seeing here.
These guys are throwing caution to the wind.
Absolutely. Mr. Denaro and Mr. Barton in control of the match at this point. JD Alpha is tossed into the ring by Dominic Denaro.
Now, these guys were in charge of the match a moment ago, but the situation outside the ring has changed this dramatically.
Absolutely, and a big slap to the chest area there by JD Alpha to Dominic Denaro.
Denaro and Alpha in there. Quick as lightning.
Absolutely.
Denaro got the best of that maneuver, or exchange rather.
there by Chris Barton. You don't want to be splashed by him, ladies and gentlemen. He's quite a big guy there.
The Bushwick Beast. And Denaro steamrolling.
And Chris Barton
JD Alpha
putting the boot to the face as he was in that common clutch position there.
Poor Leland Parker, all you can do is look on as these two just run roughshod over JD Alpha.
Absolutely, Chris Barton has JD Alpha in a position ready to give him a proper slam there. Scoop slam there. Here's the tag, ladies and gentlemen. Dominic Denaro making his way.
Okay, I'll say, Denaro and the Beast of Bushwick, their teamwork has been impeccable.
Absolutely, yeah, they're working together as a team quite well, quite effective here in this match.
Scary well. JD Alpha, right now, just giving a moment there, just to take a breather.
Absolutely, JD Alpha been in the mix of the action, it seems, the whole night. Leland Parker kind of relaxing a bit there.
Well, right now, Denaro is paying for that moment that he gave JD Alpha.
An attempt at a pinfall there, unsuccessful. Dominic Denaro trying to make his way. Doesn't know quite where he is. And there's a big right hand to the face. Denaro counters with a kick and a knee to the midsection. And Leland Parker having a go here now.
Parker is the freshest man in the ring right now, which explains that this bolt of energy he has.
Absolutely. And JD Alpha with quite a lot of stamina there. Quite a lot of stamina. Perhaps is this the strategy there.
Leland powered to that suplex.
Absolutely.
Eventually slamming him down.
And JD Alpha just stomp.
Yeah, double leg stomp.
Unbelievable.
Right into the center of his body. It just crushes your core strength.
Absolutely. And Leland Parker taking another breather, as is Chris Barton. And JD Alpha really taking lots of the workload here tonight. As he just released a left hook to the face of Dominic Denaro, ladies and gentlemen. Dominic Denaro feeling that, flush on the chin.
Alpha once again is in charge of this match. Fighting his way from the barrage he basically got from both his opponents before.
Absolutely.
Beautiful ring work there by JD Alpha.
Succession of elbow to the face and a forearm to the face.
Oh!
And that was brutal, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, and we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. And that was JD Alpha in action. And we want to thank these gentlemen. JD Alpha, simply splendid.
It was your pleasure, Evan Ginzburg.
That's true. And Brother Greatness. And later in the show, we're going to have folk singer Frederick Hintz. And we're going to have Josh Daniels, who's a noted actor, and it's the eclectic mix known as the Evan Ginzburg Show. And since we're on the subject of wrestling, I just want to tell people to check out my articles, ProWrestlingStories.com. Thanks, as always, to our sponsor, SWF Wrestling. And that should pretty much do it, guys. So check out Simply Splendid on Monty and the Pharaoh, our wrestling show, Thursdays 8:05, and you did a whole hour with Monty and the Pharaoh.
And the show got so many hits because my face was seen.
That's right.
And they tried to make fun of me at times, and they tried to rile me up, but I still kept my composure.
Little known fact, Monty and the Pharaoh have had on Larry Zbyszko, Lanny Poffo, Greg Valentine, but Simply Splendid drew more than them.
Yes.
Little known fact.
Of course.
That's right.
Why shouldn't that happen?
There you go. That'll about do it, folks. Stay tuned. We're going to have live music. We're going to talk acting, music, everything in between. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
There you go.
Sober night to shake it off, another night to make it all feel so exciting. A hot kiss could start a fire, whatever it is can make you high. You never mess when it's inside, it's so inviting. Over and over, I watch you walk hoping one night we cry, hoping one night is enough. We lie, hoping one night we deny, hoping one night till we die, knowing one night not enough. Over and over I watch you again. I want to be closer, closer.
We're back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com, and we are joined by Frederick Hintz, who is a noted musician, and he's done my show several times, and he has been bearing gifts, as we say, this holiday season. We have the late great Isaac Hayes, the Shaft soundtrack. Johnny Guitar Watson, I don't know if you know this, he died on stage.
Really?
He died on stage. That's right.
Of what? Heart attack or something?
I assume so. The great Etta James, and possibly the greatest live album ever recorded, James Brown Live at the Apollo. If you ever see the Tammy Show, the footage of James Brown performing live, it's unbelievable. And one of the probably 10 greatest movies ever made, West Side Story. So thank you. You have good ears and good taste, and I appreciate this, all of this. And what's been happening with you since the last time you did the show?
Wow, well, a few things that were on my to-do list. I have the YouTube channel up and running. There's about 5 or 6 videos on it. There'll be more as we do them, and as I play live, there'll be some snippets on there. We'll do Facebook Live at some point, thanks to one of the guys at work who helped me get it going. So getting on YouTube was something that was on my to-do list.
That's what I need to do, because I have like no tech savvy.
Yeah.
Us older guys, we didn't grow up with computers. Yeah.
You know, just one of those things I kept saying, I can do it. And then once you know, my younger boy, Dylan, who actually has been writing, gotta throw him a plug, he's been writing some beats for various rappers, and one of them actually said...
Well, why don't you tell Dylan and his buddies to come on? We have hip-hop artists all the time on the show.
He's only 20, and
that's okay.
He's really just to get
we don't have like age
age
restrictions. You know?
Yeah. You know, and I've been pretty busy the last year since I am now working right out here, a few minutes from here. I'll throw in a couple plugs.
Sure, plug anything you want.
I'll be playing again at Frank's Your Hideaway in Woodbury, which is a small Italian restaurant, but they bill it as a dinner and a show every weekend. They have some very top-level entertainment. I mean, for me, you know, and I played a couple months ago, and they liked it because it was basically sold out. And I'll be back again January 26th. Again, there's no minimum charge. You can just order an appetizer or whatever. And it's from 6:30 to 9:30. It's like in a cabaret setting. It's a terrific live music venue. Only about 10 minutes from here.
Awesome.
You know, and that's they're very generous there, and the folks are really nice.
There you go. And this always occurs to me. I see 87 tributes to Bob Dylan. Why doesn't Bob Dylan put over some of the independent musicians instead? Why don't you know? It always seems like it's one-sided. What do you think of that?
Well, I think he's not one of those people like, I'll throw Billy Joel's name out, who'll say, I have to play these songs. Even though I can't sing them as well, they're in a lower key. People want to hear these songs, whatever they are. Bob Dylan is not in that category for him to say, I have to play, Blowing in the Wind. I have to play like a Rolling Stone. I have to give him some props. I mean, it's the never-ending tour. He's out there at 77 years old. In fact, I mentioned to my wife, I saw him and Neil Young are playing in London at Hyde Park together in July. I said to my wife, boy, wouldn't this be a nice vacation? But I don't want to hear him sing 10 Sinatra songs.
Right.
Yeah. Torch songs, as we say.
Some of these guys, these iconic guys like Dylan, Van Morrison, the concerts are hit and miss. And they're not cheap.
No, I had seen Van Morrison a couple times. He was not good. Now, I saw about an hour of a show he did in Dublin last month that someone was nice enough to post. And it was great. It was surprising because he played a lot of his well-known songs, so maybe he's getting the ear that people want to hear these songs,
Oh, yeah. I had an interesting experience seeing Van Morrison. I'm more an R&B, blues, and jazz guy, and basically what I know from Van Morrison is Brown Eyed Girl and Moondance. So I'm a casual fan, and I'm sitting there at the Forest Hill Stadium, which is a beautiful venue, and I enjoyed it, but basically when you're sitting in a big stadium, you understand every third word. So I'm not really appreciating the genius because I'm not getting all the lyrics.
I saw him at the Felt Forum. Do you remember when they had concerts at the Felt Forum?
One of the greatest shows I ever saw was at the Felt Forum. Fela.
Yeah.
So Fela from Africa. Unbelievable, yeah.
Well, that was disappointing, I have to say, because he was more conducting and didn't do a lot of singing. You don't really know what to expect. I'm sure you can agree with this. Some of the best shows that I've been to were not high-profile mega stars. They were, marginal acts who happen to be great live.
Sure. What I find interesting is there's many musicians like a Larry Graham, who basically they'll tour forever. They'll hit every major city in the world once or twice a year, and they have their following, and their following is rabid. I mean, they'll come out every time they're out there. And the other night I saw Maxwell, who's a tremendous performer. Maxwell is the modern equivalent of like Al Green in the 70s.
I heard you, yeah.
This guy is such a tremendous performer. He has a great tight band behind him who are really jazz artists and a showman. He's doing splits like Prince and James Brown, and the audience was like whipped into a frenzy. One woman stormed the stage, and the security, like an old lady, she like stormed the stage, and the security pulled her off. So this is the effect that this guy has. But this guy could go into any major city in the world and draw a following. He might not be selling out baseball or football stadiums like the Rolling Stones,
right?
But there are many acts who can make a good living touring, because the music itself is not where the money is anymore. It's the touring, the $35 T-shirts, et cetera, so on.
Well, for me, and I was mentioning to Josh that I find that people that are booking me, their main focus is who's going to come. They don't care how good I am. Like I'll ask, how did it sound? Okay, it sounded good. But they're more concerned with how many people.
Right.
And one thought while I'm thinking of it, and this kind of relates to wrestling also, because when you asked the question earlier, what makes a wrestler great? And I thought of an interview with John Cena a while ago, and he was asked that question, and he said, I'll give you a short response. He said, whether I'm a heel, I'm a face, you like me, you don't like me, my goal is you pay to come to see me.
Sure.
And that's what makes me great in a lot of people's eyes, because people will spend their hard-earned money and take their kids to come to see me. And
Superstar Billy Graham and Bruno, who were childhood heroes, they were not great technical wrestlers, but they had charisma, and the fans paid to see them. So
Bruno was my grandmother's hero, literally her hero growing up.
Oh, me too. Bruno, Bruce Lee. Yeah.
And it's funny when I think about it, my memory's a little bit of a blur with Bruno and the Angles. it always seemed to be like the same thing. This man's insulting my country.
Yeah.
You know, he's insulting my heritage.
Yeah.
And I think later on, they used to bill him from Abruzzi, right?
Abruzzi,
but
Italy.
later on, they billed
Pittsburgh.
him from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
When did I don't know when that kind of switched, but I was
I
watching a match the other night, and they billed him from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, when Spiros Arion turned on him, back then when heels turned on the faces, it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Absolutely.
When Larry Zbyszko turned on him. But we're going to get a live set from you. But before we do that, plug anything you want to plug, any social media?
Again, I'll plug a couple places. Frankshire Hideaway in Woodbury. Recently, I played at a place that just opened in Massapequa, My Place Coffee House, which just opened. It's an awesome place. Throwback to the old Greenwich Village coffee houses. That it's open till 1 in the morning. I had a very nice crowd there, even though I was competing with football. Yeah.
Wow.
Football Sunday 1 to 4.
Wow.
I didn't expect much, and.
Since you mentioned that, I have friends, musician friends, who will play in a restaurant. And basically they're being used as background, and everybody's talking.
Right.
I mean, how do you feel as a musician? Wouldn't you prefer them to be listening and...
Yes, which is why I like the coffee house
right.
better. I play at a place called the Dolphin Bookstore from time to time up in Port Washington, and it's a cafe downstairs. Anyway, people come there and you could hear a pin drop. It's like church. They have these regular people. That was when I snuck in the New York Times a few years ago when they covered that event. But people just come and they sit and they come in like this and they're just looking. And there may be only 20, 30 people in there, but those people are looking. So this, which is why I try to throw out a lot of different songs to get sort of people's attention. But very often, if I play something familiar, that's what gets people's attention. So,
there you go. And which musicians have influenced you the most?
Oh, no doubt, Tom Paxton, Harry Chapin, John Prine.
I saw and met Harry Chapin, and I was very sad. And he died in a car wreck not far from here.
Yes, exit 41 on the LA. I was on vacation out of the country at the time, and those people were storytelling songs.
Harry Chapin was a genius.
Still not in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Really? Really?
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
That's like Ivan Koloff not being in the WWE Hall of Fame. Guy main evented the Garden 13 times.
I'll throw in a plug for Elliot Murphy, a long-time singer from Long Island who's been living in France for many years. Just got in the Long Island Hall of Fame. We saw him at the Stevens Talk House. I play a lot of these people's songs because nobody's playing them, and they're great. They're great songs. I'm going to play something a little different today, just on the spur of the moment thing. That
anything you want.
I think you'll get a kick out of. You never know what you're going to hear. Right. But I thought of a couple of people that you know them as songwriters. You don't know them as performers, but you know them as songwriters. And the first song I'll play is an illustration how one song can change a lifetime. Okay. At least for this man, who basically lived off the royalties of this song, and you'll hear it when I play it.
Any social media, anything?
I'm on Facebook, the Fred Hintze Experience.
And spell Hintze.
Hintze. If you go on YouTube and just put in Fred Hintze, I'll come up. There's some snippets from live performances. You'll get a little flavor of what I do. And if you like it, come out. And it's been a busy year, and I have to give you thanks because, no doubt that your show gets some good exposure for me.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. And when you hear folk is dead, jazz is dead, blues are dead, hip-hop is dead, it's all ridiculous. Even doo-wop's not dead. Some of the fans are dead, but doo-wop's not dead.
I thought you were going to have the doo-wop person on. I was going to do a little doo-wop song. Yeah. And just a quick thought, because I had read recently that Bleecker Bob passed away.
Yeah.
And
for those who don't know, because this show goes worldwide, legendary record store in the Village.
No place like it. Yeah. And when I thought of Bleecker Bob, well, I wasn't what you'd call a big customer, but he was a unique individual. That
a little gruff, but a great place.
One of his catch lines was, hey, it's expensive, but you can't get it anywhere else. So, so that's it. And I thought of when I read about Bleecker Bob, I thought about myself growing up with my records, and I thought about that scene. Did you ever see the movie Diner?
Yeah.
At where it's Daniel Stein, and he's ragging on his wife, Ellen Barkin, about not putting his records back.
Right.
And and then he says, you don't, and she can't even understand this, and he says finally, he goes, these records take me back to a place and time, and they mean a lot to me. And I thought of that. There was a period of years through high school and even college that my records were,
I have 2,000 records, probably 100 signed by legends who are now gone, and my apartment is decorated with album covers, so I could relate. The best movie on records was High Fidelity. What a great movie, great film.
And also, if you get a chance to see, it was on a year or so ago, the documentary on Tower Records.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
That was,
Again,
but there's still one in Japan from what the documentary said.
But memories of Bleecker Bob's and floating through not only Bleecker Bob's but so many other places in the village, walking down a flight of stairs and just seeing boxes of records and a guy sitting on a folding chair with a little metal cash box.
Yeah.
Pick out what you like.
The thing I miss about New York is in the old days, you just have some time to kill. There's 50 bookstores, 50 record stores, and most of them are gone. They're gone.
My friend Rick and I have been combing the city for the last year on a few occasions. I mean, walking the city, and it's like I said to him, how many bars and restaurants? Where are all these places? Where,
what about the arts?
Yeah.
I mean, I was booking Gizzies, and people have no idea. Just the rent alone was close to 10 grand a month. So you have these unbelievable expenses because of the greedy landlords who, the politicians are beholden to the landlords. So the clubs go under. Then they move to Brooklyn, then the rent skyrocket in Brooklyn, then they go under. Now they're starting to have a scene in Staten Island. You should look into Staten Island. They go where the rents are cheaper, but it shouldn't be like that. Arts are important.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Now the village is nowhere like it used to be. It just it's depressing.
Yeah, you go down West 8th Street and half the stores are closed. I mean, they can't afford the rents. But now that we've depressed everybody, we're ready. We're ready for your live set.
More depressing.
So, Jim, you want to take a little break while he sets up? Okay. So,
all right, it's going to be short.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
Probably about.
You so down on yourself now, sweetie. It just kills me to see someone as beautiful as you, so unable to be free. Take a look at yourself now, baby. Tell me, what do you see? I'll bet you anything you want, darling. That ain't the same as me. I see an angel without wings. I know you wanna fly high. I'd do most anything for you. It makes me wanna cry when I see the silly things you do. You're an angel without wings.
Okay, when I think of old-time singers and songwriters, I think of Fred Neil, who wrote quite a few good songs, but he never really performed. And here's a couple, it's in a short medley. Everybody's talking at me. I can't hear a word they're saying, only the echoes of my mind. People stop and stare. I can't see their faces, only the shadows in their eyes. I'm going where the sun keeps shining through the pouring rain. Going where the weather suits my clothes, yeah. Skipping over the northeast ridge, sailing on a summer breeze. Skipping over the ocean like a stone. You know, everybody's talking at me. I can't hear a word they're saying, only the echoes of my mind. People stop and stare. I can't see their faces, only the shadows in their eyes. I'm going where the sun keeps shining through the pouring rain. Going where the weather suits my clothes, yeah. Skipping over the northeast wind, sailing on a summer breeze. Skipping over the ocean like a stone. Well, don't you leave my love behind. If I should leave you, try to remember all the good times. Warm days filled with sunshine, and just a little bit of rain. And if you look back, try to forget all the sad times, lonely, blue, and bad times, and just a little bit of rain. When I look back, you know, I'll try to remember all the good times. Warm days filled with sunshine, and just a little bit of rain. And just a little bit of rain. Fred Neil. Well, Willie DeVille was popular in the Village years ago, and I'll do this one and it'll segue into a more familiar song, I hope. Candlelit and my eyes are slits. Jumping now, paper clip. Make a move, sail a ship. Tap it in, babe, on my fingertips. She's a mixed up, shook up girl, got me so strung out I don't know what to do. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. Take a breath.
in the night. Move on over, she said, but there was no end in sight. You know that little girl cut me deep inside. You know why? She's a mixed up, shook up girl, got me so strong I don't know what to do. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. Hey you, I remember those dirty streets fill me now. They fill me now, babe. And although you're gone, you're not forgotten. Why don't you come over here and tell me it's over? She's a mixed up, shook up girl, got me so strung out that I don't know what to do. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. I don't know what she's doing. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. She got me. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. She's a mixed up, shook up girl. Do you wanna dance and hold my hand? Tell me, babe, I'm your lover man. Oh, baby, do you wanna dance? Do you wanna dance and take a chance? Come on, babe, I'm looking for some romance. Oh, baby, do you wanna dance? Do you wanna dance? Do you wanna dance? Oh, baby, do you wanna dance? That's not the Ramones version.
Experience. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. And when we come back, we'll be with Josh Daniels, actor, and this is the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. Thank you so much, man.
All right,
Always good to see you. You're always welcome.
Good, now that I know where you are.
That
was great.
Good, that sound.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
What the hell, man? A lot of fun.
You wearing at this
My
studio?
shoe.
Wow.
Look what happened.
You know, I should have thought
got
something
the
was
sport
fishy,
on.
'cause
Here's the other problem.
I remember
Now,
texting
here's
you
the
saying,
problem.
did you leave?
Oh my God.
I was like,
I
I just
can't
left. And I'm thinking, how did I miss you? I'm standing in front of the place. I should have known.
Well, luckily it's closed.
Yeah.
All
10
right.
minutes away.
Thanks, man.
All right, I'll catch up with you.
See you
Enjoy
soon.
your,
Thank you so
holiday
much.
gift.
Very
I
nice
hope
of
you
you.
got a kick
Thank you.
out of that.
All right. Take a snack on your way out.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much.
Take care. I'll talk to you after the new year.
All right, bro. Good to see you.
All right, you guys have a good holiday.
Any of
Thank you so much.
Any of your musician friends want to come, they're welcome.
I went to a CD release party. A woman at work, her daughter's a gospel singer.
Oh, yeah, tell her.
Oh, she was terrific. She was really
gospel.
terrific.
Nice Sunday gospel.
She was terrific. Let me tell you, the band was great. She was great. On the road.
She could sing.
I'll watch you later.
She can sing the tracks. She doesn't
Yeah,
have a
oh,
band
she
or
was just
whatever.
terrific. It was very nice.
That'd be awesome.
All right, take care.
Thank you, man.
I'll
Thank
watch
you so
later.
much.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
He loves wrestling.
Yeah, he was telling me.
Yeah. Old school wrestling fan.
I am struggling today, man.
What's the matter?
Too? I have nerve damage, so the rain really. You know, when I was younger and people used to say the rain made them feel worse, I used to laugh. Not anymore.
Every
That's true.
winter, the sinuses.
Yeah,
when the weather goes.
I've you know, from all the wrestling and everything, I feel it. I never thought I would, but it's like my elbows, my shoulder, both my knees. It's just.
Maybe it's good you got out.
It's. We can talk about that too.
You know, Brett Valentine stays by my house, and you know he walks very gingerly. You know,
that's like, that was one of those things which I'm sure I'll get into, but like, that was that precipice where it's like, all right, do I want to be that, or do I want to be functional, so to speak?
I mean, for indie paydays, it's not worth crippling yourself. So. Half these guys today aren't even getting paid.
Really? Like those guys before, they not so much?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah, that sucks.
So we have that clip of him. We'll play at some point during the interview, Jim.
Just tell me when.
Okay.
Got it all ready.
Mind if I slide up real quick? 30 seconds, I'll be right back.
I'll just come back on your camera.
What's that?
I'll just come back on your camera.
All right, so we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at Village Connection Radio, and Jim Savali is our engineer and owner. So, Jim, I know you have some new shows on the station. Anything you want to...
We just got a nice new one. I've been waiting for a long time to get this show. I don't know if you know Norman Wasserman. He's you're gonna like this guy. He does a lot of local concerts with tribute bands like Donna Summers and huge concerts.
Yeah.
So he's coming on board with the show. Darren and the Music Man.
Oh, nice.
They do the Business Power Hour.
You know what's interesting? Over the years, I've had some tribute bands and tribute performers on, and they're great talents in their own right. Yeah. I mean, they, big booming voices, real pros. Sometimes there's the stigma, he's an Elvis imitator or, whatever. She's a Cher imitator. But, to get on a stage and perform is still a tremendous talent.
They're musicians. They just choose to sing other people's music.
Well,
I can't do that.
unfortunately, sometimes those are the options. You can make more money being in a tribute band or a wedding band than playing your own music.
Yep,
so, with that out of the way, we are joined by Josh Daniels, who is a former wrestler, but that's been a few years back. So we're going to talk about his acting career. He's been on Law and Order and a ton of movies. And tell us a little about your acting.
Let's see. Started training probably 2011 after an injury. So I was in the wrestling ring and elbow popped out of socket, tore my bicep.
Yeah, that's a good motivation to leave. Yeah.
So so that was down in Maryland, and driving back up, and you just kind of sitting there thinking, and that's all I had time to do. You get the surgery, and you're thinking.
I have a similar story. I was in a diner with the late Tiger Khan, and we're having a meal. He gets a call that one of his wrestler buddies in Maryland broke his leg. He did a high spot over the ropes. His leg hit the guardrail. So his leg is broken, and he's 5 hours from home. So Tiger immediately gets up and goes to, help his friend. And people do not understand this about the wrestling business. At any given moment, you could get hurt.
Something could happen, and that's exactly what happened. And you had time to think, and I'm like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to be, Because I always tell people, if you'd asked me like 3-4 years prior to that, I want to be like Fit Finlay, just this mean, nasty, gruff, whatever, at 50, 60, whatever. I don't know how old he is, but
that sounds about right. Yeah.
But after that, it's like, okay, so this is the second major injury because I blew my ACL out my first year in, and then I'm like 10 years in, and somebody pops my bicep off the bone, and do I really want to keep doing this? And why did I get into this? And and it's you kind of dial it back, like, okay, this happened and that happened. Okay, why this? Why that? I'm an actor, I think. Oh my God, like that's half the reason with that performance bone, that performance gene in my body that I can't deny. I need to explore that. So took a class and fell in love with it immediately. It was just like
it felt natural.
It just felt natural.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I think the introductory class was like, you know, you learning about a little bit about acting, and then we did commercial copy just to kind of get your feet wet. And my heart is just pounding. This is just class. I'm pounding. I'm like, oh my God, I've been missing this. This is what I wanted, you know, for the last, say, 5-6 years in wrestling. And, you know, it was like, I have to do this. I have to. And I did. And, you know, about a year after that, I booked Celebrity Ghost Stories, playing country singer Jimmy Wayne, which is a great story.
Okay.
And I still talk to him online on Twitter every so often. Super nice guy. And then it's just been a nice little journey ever since. Just a lot of ups, a lot of downs.
Oh yeah, acting's a tough business. People don't realize the average actor, you know, they're making 20 grand a year or less. It's a very tough business, but at any given moment you could fall into some ensemble network series where you're making, you know, 5 or 6 figures an episode.
You never
you know.
You never know. I mean, as they say, you gotta build up your, you know, you build and you build and you build. But it's true. You never know because you never know who's watching.
Yeah. Sometimes somebody just says, "He's the right guy. He's the guy I envisioned when I wrote this." No, seriously.
I mean, isn't that what kind of happened with the guy, David Hasselhoff? Wasn't he like discovered on an airplane or something like that?
I'm not sure.
I think it was. Like they
I'm
were
pretty
casting for that
I'm
Knight
pretty sure I
Rider.
heard a story about not the current or the former Superman, but Brandon Routh, who did Superman Returns.
Okay.
I think, and I could be wrong, but I think he was actually found bowling.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
director
yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
that's
he's
it.
him.
That's it.
Like in
Not even an actor yet.
Yeah, in old Hollywood, you'd have some pretty, you know, young woman, 18, 19, 20. She's sitting in a restaurant, and the director's like, she's perfect. This is what I envisioned. I mean, so and sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time.
And that's really what it is. A lot of it is just that timing and just constantly being in it. It's like Harrison Ford says, you had to stay in it. All his friends were dropping out. He just, you know, he's Harrison Ford now.
And what happens, I mean, he was doing carpentry, I believe. Yeah. So what happens is an actor at 20 is a different person at 30, a different person at 40. And, you know, you might be right for the role at 40 that you weren't right for 10 years ago.
We're
and
not ready for it either.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's like you know all these artists on. It's part of the, you know, the artistic growth too. Is that
Look at a guy like Steve Buscemi. I mean, he's
a
an
firefighter, right?
Yeah, he was a firefighter. You know, not a good-looking guy, and he just, you know, he pursued his craft. He honed his craft, and
his niche.
Yeah, he found his niche, and you know, he became a star in his own right.
Guy?
Not particularly. You're a better looking guy than Steve Buscemi.
I always wondered why he's fairly rich, I would say.
Oh, he's done well.
But he does
yeah.
not choose to fix his teeth.
Well, maybe because he's
That's like his stick, I think.
He's an actor, and he's not worried about, you know, doing the pretty boy stuff. Yeah,
They got plenty
definitely
of
not.
pretty boys. You just might as well stay different.
You know, when you really understand the acting business, pretty and handsome are a dime a dozen in this business.
Thank you very much.
No, really. So it's about honing your craft and talent and networking and perseverance.
You just keep punching. You gotta
Perseverance.
keep punching, yeah.
Because again, you know, you take these, like right now, HBO and Showtime have these hour shows that are tremendous. These, you know, it's a golden age of television, and you could just fall into a hit show. Walking Dead, for example, you just fall into it, and you're a star. No, really, it's.
You never know. Yeah, but that's the thing. You never know when that might come about. Like I said, you never know who's watching, so you always have to be on and always be good and always be ready.
And the other thing I just want to say is I'm looking at your resume, and you do kung fu, wrestling, archery, boxing, you know, etc. So on, jiu-jitsu. And, I mean, you know, you have these actors in action films who are not credible. You're the real deal, you know. So, I mean, they should hire you.
That'd be very nice if they would.
No, I mean, wouldn't you be more convincing than, you know, an actor who, some skinny actor who, you know, just.
It'd be nice. It would be very nice if yeah, I believe so. But again, you know, decisions aren't up to people like you and me. It's, you know, nowadays it's such a big business. I mean, we have this golden age of television and film and everything, and there's so much money behind it that it's like I would tell younger wrestlers when I was a wrestler, and some of the mistakes that I made. Make yourself worth it. Make yourself worth the investment. And unless they know you, it's hard for the money people to sit there and say, yes, we're going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and people in production and all sorts of stuff on somebody that we're not so sure about. But do you know what I mean? It's still as much as it's an art, it's very much more so a business. And you see it in music all the time now. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh my God, there's so many talented people out there, but it's still a machine. It's still a business.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
still going to go with people that they're not going to, or they're pretty sure they're not going to lose money on.
I once pitched a beautiful, talented singer-songwriter guitarist, 16 years old, to a major record label. They said we're looking for 13-year-olds to mold like Justin Bieber.
Right.
Okay, so there's ageism. There's a lot of factors in the arts that people don't realize. Yeah.
I was watching something on the art industry. There's a documentary on HBO, and had just the craziness and how much money and idiosyncrasies and just like the actual business end aspect of it. There's so much that goes on that the layperson, the person that's just watching, has no idea. All the little ins and outs.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the
I mean,
fights that you get into.
even a quote unquote cattle call where there's a nice part and 100 actors show up or more, depending. I mean, the odds are not easy in this business.
No, you gotta want it. You gotta really. It's gotta be something that like you can't. You just need to do it. You're compelled.
So my next question would be then. You're obviously an intelligent guy. Why don't you? No, I mean that sincerely. Why don't you produce your own, let's say, web series and things of that nature?
It's funny you mentioned that because we actually talked about that years and years ago.
Yeah.
And when you were, when I just started acting and I was getting out of wrestling, and you said that I should write something on independent wrestling because you got to go with what you know.
Right.
And I started writing something, and I wrote probably maybe like 5 pages, which is really depressing.
Right.
Which is, it happens. I mean, it's, and then I kind of shelved that for a while, and then recently I started it back up again. I just had I saw an article on a pilot getting picked up, and I can't believe that they're going to make a pilot about this guy. And I said, I know I can do this. And I just had this vision. I had this vision, and I talked to.
It's almost like Rocky. Like
exactly.
Sylvester Stallone believed in himself, believed in that role, believed in that film, and overnight he was a superstar.
Funny story about that is that I actually auditioned for the movie Chuck, or it was called The Bleeder at the time. Liev Schreiber was playing Chuck Wepner.
Yeah, I saw that. It was a good movie.
And I auditioned to be Sylvester Stallone in that film.
Wow.
And I don't think the monologue was in the film, but in my audition piece, we had 2 sets. And the first piece was a little interview monologue where he talks about going to that Muhammad Ali fight and how he knew how he felt, and but his story just wasn't commercial enough. And it just so happens that he went to that fight that night, and it struck him. Like, oh my God, this is how I feel. I'm like, I'm Chuck Wepner. I'm the Bleeder, the Bayonne Bleeder.
Right.
And that's how it started. And next thing you know, it's Creed 2.
Yeah.
So
I mean, today HBO is looking to web series. For a lot of their content.
Well, everybody's making something. Everybody's producing, whether it's small little skits.
Well, maybe you should be producing projects for yourself that you know would work.
I should. I'm working on.
Something to consider. Yeah.
So but I'm about. I just copyrighted. Is it kept copywritten? I copyrighted it. Whatever.
Right.
Copyright.
Yeah. So I just did that. About 65 pages in. I'm looking to do probably another 30 or so.
Well, there you go.
And then I've already had some small production meetings, and
awesome.
We'll see what happens with that. It's probably a few months, but it's chugging along bit by bit.
That's great.
So we'll see what happens.
And what do you consider some of the career highlights thus far as an actor?
Career highlights. Well, SVU was great. And funny thing about that was, first audition I went in for SVU, I was not ready for it at all. And Jonathan Strauss brought me in, and I'm sitting on the couch, and there's no camera. He just takes a picture, and we just have a very relaxed read. And I was not ready for that at all. I sweated through my headshot and my resume. So
Wow.
I could feel, there's something wrong with my paper. I was like, oh my God, I'm sweating.
Wow.
That's how nervous I was. I wasn't ready for it. And then a year or two later, they brought me in for a smaller role. We did the bit and did the audition piece. And then as we're walking out, he leans in very close and he goes, really good job. And I was like, thank you. That was great. And a week later, I booked it. So that was a great highlight. Going up to Toronto over the summer for an NFL commercial, that was a pretty big highlight. That was a lot of fun. Let's see some other highlights. I mean, I'm hoping for a few more, but those are the two major ones.
Certainly being on the Evan Ginzburg show at the Village Connection Radio is one of them.
There you
top
go.
5 moments.
Following Simply Splendid Bobby C. That brought you back to the wrestling days, right?
Yeah. So, no, and I watched some of the videos. Those guys they work hard, man. It brings me back.
Oh yeah.
That's just as tough a business,
Oh.
So tough.
So since we're back on that, tell us a little. What were some highlights of your wrestling career?
Yokohama Arena. That was a lot.
Wow.
Of fun. Yeah.
Wow.
That was like 10,000. I was Josh the Elvis Daniels.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They my first tour for 01 back in, I guess it was 2003. The number one guy, Hashimoto, was a big Elvis fan, and I had these sideburns. Wasn't even realize I had these sideburns, and they next thing I know is Steve Carino's asking me, do they want you to be Elvis?
I could see it.
And I was like, oh my God, really? Like, this is just really, like, I want to be, like, 01 was one of those things where it's you're either like a character or you're a fighter. And I wanted to be a fighter. Like, I wanted to get in there and just get grimy and gritty and whatever. And they saw something else, and I was too immature at the time to realize what was granted to me. So I didn't take it as seriously as I did. I mean, I did when I was out there. I mean, I worked my ass off, but can I say that?
Sure. Yeah, it's internet. Yeah.
But I wasn't ready for it. But I was Josh the Elvis Daniels for Hustle and for like a couple of 01 shows, which is fun. And then if I had known now, known then what I know now, I mean, I probably would have taken it a little bit more seriously. But yeah, that was good. WWE stuff was great. Doing Jack Swagger's debut match was and Arn Anderson was the producer on that. That right off the bat was
Arn Anderson was so great in the ring. Yeah.
Oh my God! And the way he was like talking about what we're gonna do, and he's got this Diet Coke in his hand, and one of his hands is a little mangled from nerve damage, and he's sweating. You can just see how passionate he is about just throwing one punch. You know what I mean? You don't really get that anymore. And that was just watching a little bead of sweat just come down his face. That's something you take with you for sure. I don't know if there's others, but yeah, wrestling and yeah.
Awesome. So why don't we check out your acting reel?
Sure. Go.
Okay. So this is some work from Josh Daniels.
It's a little long, but
no problem. No problem.
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
We're setting it up here. We are at villageconnectionradio.com.
Keep talking. I'm sorry.
Okay. So this is live radio, warts and all. So
can't have any of that dead air. No.
I'm about to play a wrestling clip instead of.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. He'll have flashbacks.
This is a great room, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Look at
it's a work in progress.
Jim
it's not
Morrison
done yet.
on the wall is awesome.
Yeah.
Big Doors fan.
This is pop culture surrounding us. Here we go.
Answer my question. Do you know that Gladys is dead?
Do you know who I am? I'm a prominent figure in my community. I'm friends with the president of the Dominican Republic.
So you shooting and killing her was an accident?
You know what? Okay, I'm done talking to you. All right, I want to speak to my lawyer. Are we done? Can I get out of here?
No, you're not going anywhere. Stay here.
Was she talking to anybody? Smile on her face when she's leaving church, getting on the phone, anything like that?
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with your mother. Do you think she could pull a trigger?
Yeah, well, why don't you come down to Merry Melodies tomorrow night? I'll put you on my guest list. What's your last name? I'll see you tomorrow night then.
All right.
All right.
Now look what you've done.
What I've done? You're the one that's screaming and killing my buzz.
And Dave Boggs' problems go beyond being a party boy. He's also behind in child support to his first family and is facing jail time if he can't pay.
Dave Boggs was incarcerated on a...
Hey, listen, I'm gonna be locked up for a few weeks, so I'm gonna need you to take care of that job that we talked about. And I'm dead broke, but I'm gonna make it up to you soon, all right?
You know him too?
He's my brother.
Oh, this is just super duper swell then. I get to meet a member of the family already. Hi, Scott.
Hey, so, I got a couple more deliveries, so.
Cool.
Bonsoir.
Arrivederci.
Yes. Ciao. They're out.
The Evan Ginzburg Show, and that was Josh Daniels in action in a variety of roles. And so you took acting classes like many actors, and when you're acting, where do you summon up the like I remember I was acting in a film and I was very angry in the role. I was very angry, and I thought about a friend who died, and it just fueled me, you know. And so when you're acting, where do you summon up the inspiration?
I think it depends on the role and what's written. I was always taught whatever you need to do to get there. So it's not having, whether it's actually being that person doing the whole method thing, or if it's you just need to have some sort of sense memory, or it's just your imagination. It just all depends on the role. I mean, I'm a naturally intense person, so like anytime there's like yelling or whatever, it's pretty easy for me. Some emotions are not so easy. I'll draw on whatever works and wherever the page takes me. It's like playwright friend of mine, Joanne Tedesco, who's awesome. One thing she always said, and I 100% agree with this, is there's no stage without the page, and that page to me initially gives me the instinctual impression as to where this is going to go. And sometimes I'm wrong, but that's why you audition, and that's why you
Have you done theater?
No, I've done play readings. I've auditioned for 12 Angry Men. It was a Long Island production, which I think Stephen DeAngelis was the casting director.
Yeah.
Did not get it, which is fine. You lose more than you win. But no, I really haven't. Would I? Yeah. Like as far as musical goes, no.
Right.
I can't sing.
Right.
I'll sing, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll sing in the shower, maybe in the car, but that's where it starts and it stops. But as far as like a play goes, I would love to. It's just, it's a different animal. It's similar to wrestling. We got to play to the back of the room, whereas, with acting, I'm playing right to ear. You know what I mean?
Did you ever consider doing a one-man show?
Yes.
Because then you're the focus. You're the
yeah, absolutely. It's funny you mention that because one of my friends was a ref for the WWE. We still talk every so often. He's like, we should try stand-up. You should try stand-up. Why don't you just do stand-up? Like, okay. I can try stand-up. I'm just not ready for it. Different animal.
Oh,
as
yeah.
As far as like doing that one-man show, yeah, absolutely. It's just a matter of what the hell am I going to talk about?
Well, I would think a one-man show, for example, the story you said earlier, where you're in the ring and you have some horrific injury and you're reevaluating your life and your goals and
inner monologue sort of thing.
Sure, and yeah, I would think there's material there. you're not a kid anymore, and you're hurt, and you're in pain, and you're driving 5 hours back with one arm, and I would think there's dramatic content there where where do I want to take my life? I'm 30 years old or whatever the case may be, and yeah, I think it's something to consider. No, seriously.
That's not a bad idea at all.
I've seen one man and one woman shows that are horrific, and I've seen one man and one woman shows that are just tremendous.
I've always been in awe of somebody like a Robin Williams who just
Right.
was able to get up on stage, just him alone, and just go.
Yeah.
And just go, and I mean, just to watch like his stream of conscious on stage is just, or was rather, it's just something. Just a treasure. Do you know what I mean? And where he got all that stuff from, it was just amazing, and just pouring his blood and his soul out on stage. That's I would definitely consider that. I mean, I'm obviously not the caliber of performer that he is, but yeah, that would be definitely something that I could explore for sure.
Yeah,
Another hit from you.
something to consider. So what do you have coming up?
Nothing really, just auditioning. Really, that's pretty much how my days are spent. I mean, I've on average I'm auditioning once, twice a day, so it kind of takes
Wow.
a good amount of time. Sometimes it's 4 or 5 times in a day, which I think Tuesday or Thursday of last week was very hectic for me. To commercial, voiceover, self tape, do another voiceover. It's a lot. But I can tell you that did a voiceover for ABC Freeform or Freeform Family or whatever it is.
Right.
So my voice will be on that if they do air it, it'll be there. It should be there for the 25 Days of Christmas thing. It should be fun. It's very simple, but a lot of fun. Very easy. And I have a web commercial. So you go on like YouTube.
Right.
The commercials that come on for.
Sure.
I got one of that. I mean, it's supposed to be airing hopefully soon. It's for a cold medicine. We'll see if it airs. I don't know. Still waiting to get paid for that. So
Right.
we did that back in July. A lot of fun. I coughed for 4 hours straight. Just
Yeah.
Just do that. I couldn't speak the next day. I couldn't drink anything, but still
Sacrificing for your art.
Exactly. It's a physical sacrifice.
In 2018, there's so much content out there. There's thousands upon thousands of channels, and now web series and everything else. I would think it would be a good time to be an actor. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I think it's a good time. It's also a tough time too, because everything moves so quickly. I mean, like we'll take for instance, like my reel is just shy of 3 minutes. I think it's like 2:55 or something like that. Ideally, you want it to be 1:30. Now, casting directors, from what I understand, will look at your reel and within 30 seconds know what's up and what's. I mean, on Actors Access, you can even break your reel down into clips and just send in those clips because everything moves so quick.
Yeah.
So it's a good time, but it's also a very tough time because no matter what you put out, it has to be quick and it has to grab somebody right away. Because
Sure.
People's attention spans nowadays are just because if it's not you, it's gonna be the next one. It's not that one, it's gonna be the next one. Just keeps swiping left, swiping right. You know what I mean? So I would say it's a good time. It's a tough time. It's a fast time. It's an interesting time. I think it's also a time where you're also going to get, because there's so much volume, you're going to get a lot of bad stuff too. So I mean, it's like that in music, and in any sort of artistic or entertainment endeavor. But yeah, I would say it is a good time. You just got to keep punching.
I would think as an athlete, as a wrestler, as a martial artist, just having that discipline to keep, shooting for your dream, to keep facing rejection, to keep, keeping on. I would think you have an advantage over many actors. Because I'll tell you, I used to teach. And as a teacher, there were a lot of actors who, they were teaching part-time or whatever the case may be. And eventually they gave up. They gave up on the acting. They gave up on the singing. They gave up on the dancing. Yeah, and I would think somebody from your background would be stronger, that could, withstand, sorry, you're not right for this part or whatever the case may be.
You don't even get that. You just don't get anything.
You get nothing, yeah.
I got that once, and I really appreciated that. I forget what it was for, but it was an audition with the casting director and the director/producer, I think. And I finished my piece, and he was just like, very good. I appreciate you coming out here, but I don't think you're going to be right for the part. I was like, oh my God, I've never gotten that before. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very nice. Sucks, but I appreciate that. But just to answer your question, yeah, I agree. For somebody like me, and I think it's also compounded by the fact that I'm a short guy. I'm 5'7", on a good day. And so I've always had to work a little bit harder. I've always had to throw an extra punch or two. I've always had to, playing football, I was a center and a linebacker and a D lineman. I just worked my ass off.
I would think the intestinal fortitude will only help in this. Yeah. I mean, Tom Cruise isn't a big guy, and he's one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's an issue at this point.
No, I mean, it is and it isn't. I think I think height also depends because there are so many actors out there that I think the days of Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, they're shorter guys. It's tough because a lot of people are taller too. So like whether it's TV or film, you also have to match up. So somebody that's 5'7" going into a scene with, I don't know, like Jeremy Sisto, who's I think is like 6'3" or 6'4",
right.
6'5". Unless I'm standing on two or three apple boxes, it's tough.
Well, I did casting on The Wrestler as the associate producer, and I saw that Mickey's not a huge guy, and Aronofsky was like, this wrestler like dwarfs him. This isn't going to work. Yeah,
It's
so
gotta match up. It's totally got to match up. And I mean, unless the director, if film is like a director's medium, unless they don't care, everything has to kind of match up. So if Tom Cruise in the film, everybody's got to match up to Tom Cruise.
Right.
Me, I got to match up to the rest of them. You know what I mean? So it's tough, but you never know.
It's tough, but you're tough.
I try to be.
No, really. I think you'll see great things in the future because I don't see you quitting.
I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just not a quitter. I don't know how. I mean, I do know how. Obviously, if anybody can quit. I quit relationships and I quit wrestling, but
we've all quit relationships. Yeah.
But it's very tough for me to sit there and say, all right, I want to do this, and then say, I'm not going to do this because I made a decision. This is what I'm going to do because there's something here and all over here that's got to get that done. It has to live that. Do you know what I mean? And I did with wrestling for 12, 13 years, and I'm very happy on camera. I'm very happy walking into.
Well, wrestling got you from New York Indies to Japan.
Yeah.
So I see the same thing in acting. 6 months from now or a year from now, I'll talk to you, and you'll say, Evan, I'm on this ensemble cast, and the next thing you know, it's a big hit, and we'll say we had this conversation.
You were right.
No, I sincerely believe it. I'm not saying it to butter you up because I think there's something about not giving up. I mean, we worked on The Wrestler 7 years. We worked on 350 Days for 5 years. I know what it is to put your heart and soul into a project and just not give up on something. So not everybody has that.
Not everybody does.
Yeah.
I'm not to talk about I'm one of the few in my family that's a real, I guess, just ambitious fighter. Get after it, go for it. I mean, I'm certainly not getting rich off of it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
But you may very well down the road.
You never know. But I'm happy to work. That's the main thing. Yeah. I think people get into whether it's wrestling or music or acting or any sort of thing like that, and they're thinking, I just want to be rich. I think it's a wrong way to go.
Well, I'll tell you something. As a theater buff, I have far more respect for the Jane Alexanders and the true actors and actresses than the quote-unquote movie stars and celebrities. Because these, somebody's bang, 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 but, he can't do King Lear. You know what I'm saying? There are actors and then there are movie stars. Right. So these people have honed their craft, for decades. And, to command a stage, a Broadway stage, is a different level. Yeah, so I wish you nothing but the best. Please give out any social media or anything you want to give.
My social media is pretty. I mean, the best way to check me out on social media is probably through Twitter. So it's at True Josh Daniels, TRUE Josh Daniels, and then that can take you to my website. That'll take you to any way to get in contact with me, or just follow me, or stare at my pictures or whatever.
There you go. Thank you so much, Josh. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And that should about do it for the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. Thanks to Jim Savelli. Anything else you want to plug for the station, Jim?
Nope. I think you covered it. He always puts me on the spot like this. You know?
Yeah.
I see what you mean by sweating in the audition. You know, like,
Yeah.
what, I got to speak on this show?
Well,
no, I think I'm very, very happy as the year comes to an end with what 2018 is.
How many shows you have now at the station?
About 28.
28 shows. Wow.
A year ago we had maybe 3.
Wow.
Well, when did you start?
Maybe a year and a half ago.
So a year and a half ago we had maybe 3, and then
Wow.
Evan came aboard, and it slowly.
It's a media mogul.
Yeah.
I try. Anyway, thanks again, and that'll about do it. And join us each and every week. It's always an eclectic mix. Very rarely will you see a guy dressed in a Gorgeous George outfit followed by a folk singer followed by an actor. So this is what we do in the spirit of Joe Franklin. Remember Joe Franklin? Joe Franklin was a talk show host in New York. You're too young. He would have like Betty Davis sitting next to Lou Albano. You know?
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
kind of what we
awesome.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. You just gotta throw everybody into the mix and see what pops up.
Exactly. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
And that'll about do it.
Just this broken soul. I'm always a giver, but I'm never known. And I'm just this lonely man, alone on the river with my heart in my hand. The conversation, they're all dead. The lines held up inside my head. I live here like a broken man, with no idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clears. Oh, I shed all of my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Now what remains of this tattered soul is something I've always wanted to know. This whole sense of security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded guns, this outbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded guns, this broken man has already won. Oh, my mind clears. Oh, I shed all of my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on.